I'm Clint, and welcome to Swatches Livestream number 29, I believe we're at. Like I said, I'm Clint Cearley, illustrator and art educator. On this particular episode, we will be looking at the finals of the Soaring Crypts Art Challenge. So we have some finals sent in from them, you the viewers, I mean. And so if you're new to the channel, thank you for joining, and right now, this stream is mainly about the art challenge. It's a 2-week challenge open to any viewers that want to get in on that. I do crown a winner of the challenge, and they get $25, basically $25 from QBrush to spend on QBrush's website. There's all kinds of art, videos, education. They have 3D model resources, all that sort of stuff. And you can go out there and take a look at that. We already have some people here in the chat. Citronia, it's good to see you. J.H. Welch. Cearley. Buttercup, how's it going? Yeah, I'll just leave a couple of minutes for people to join in, and we'll start going into some of that. We also need to kick off a new challenge, of course. And I've got some stuff to talk about coming up on the channel. So if you're watching this in review, and I remember to put it in there, take a look for the timestamps below down in the description. I try to, but I don't always remember. But okay, yeah, looks like the stream is good, so I can go ahead and just close OBS out. Shantira, how's it going? Sam, good to see you. Good to see you. Curious how many people we'll have this week. I didn't do a lot of promotion on the stream today. A couple of minutes late, sorry about that. I just forgot to make a new cover image for this particular episode. So real quickly, I just threw an image and posted it out for this particular episode. I'll probably update it later, but there we go. Okay, so James, good to see you. How's it going? How's it going? Yeah, like I said, so we are going to kick off with the new challenge, and then we will look at the submissions for this Soaring Crypts Environment Challenge, do some little reviews of that, probably do a little paint over here or there. A lot of you guys liked seeing the environment little sketch I did last time, just coloring it from the little composition sketches I did. So we might do that again. I mean, that's fun. I enjoy doing that. Yeah, so cool stuff, cool stuff. How many we have in right now? Like 18? Okay. So how are you guys feeling about the challenge? How did it go from your side? Did you enjoy this one? Not enjoy it? We didn't have nearly as many this time for final entries as we did the previous time. And I'm thinking maybe that's just because there's not as many environment people that like to do it as much as characters, but that's okay. Alright. So, if you are just joining this stream, and you don't know what they were doing, this is the outline of what they had to do. Based on the fictional character of Dagon Stormbrew, he journals this place that he comes across, and they had to illustrate this particular place called the Soaring Crypts. And I'll read over it real quickly while people have a chance to log in. The gamble paid off. More surprising, perhaps, is that the hedge witch was not lying. The old paper scrap was a map to the Soaring Crypts. This could very well support the shop for years. A haunting yet serene place. At first survey, it resembled a forest of stone obelisk. Veiled in a perpetual mist, the full scope of the area cannot be viewed at once. Multiple trips will be required to properly map it. The crypts themselves stand 3 to 5 times the height of a man with a diameter of 1 to 2 arm spans. Cylindrical in form, the exteriors are covered with designs and pictographs reminiscent of wooden totems. The original colors have nearly all been lost to time. The crypt doors are expertly hidden in the surface designs, and with the moss and weathering, it will take time, but I have little doubt it will be worth it. They were the resting place for the Bakhtu royal family, after all. We were able to force open one door that had become ajar due to shifting soft ground, and in it we found a fully intact burial mask, which will fetch a fine price. And then they also needed to do a call out. That was the major illustration, and two smaller illustrations. One is a depiction of just one of the crypts. Give me a more detailed, clean sketch of the crypt. And one of your choice from either a dangerous rope bridge they had across, a local poisonous plant, a vermin creature of the marshy areas, a curious stone marker they come across, or a crypt carving with gold leafing. So that was their outline. That's what they're trying to do. Yeah, Citroni says, I enjoyed it. It was tough because of the three separate aspects to it. Yeah. Good exposing weaknesses. Yeah, absolutely. I found the 2 weeks intimidating for a beginning artist since the expectation is much higher than a quick 1 week. Yeah. Hopefully the 2 weeks you guys are finding a bit better. I'm going to go ahead and tell you this. We're going to obviously finish this one. Then we're going to do the next one. And then I'm going to take a break for a little bit on the challenges. I have several trips coming up in the month of May. And I just need to take a break from that in order to be able to put full focus into some of these trips and other projects I have going on. And I want to start it back up. I have no intention of just stopping challenges altogether, but I'm going to take about a month off of the challenges. And when I come back, I want to do the challenges, or at least just, maybe not as a standard, but do them at least one a little different. This challenge would be bigger in scope. You would have a month, probably, to do it, and it would have bigger prizes, and there would be multiple prizes. They could be drawing pads. They could be higher, like items, drawing items that I would ship to you. You might be able to get some stuff from the store. There'd be like first, second, third place, honorable mentions. I will probably have a guest judge joining me for this one. And so, yeah, it'd be like I want to get a bigger group of the community in here, and I want different awards, like maybe the guest judge gets to pick a favorite, I get to pick the favorite, maybe even you guys get to do like a fan vote, which one the people's choice winner would be out of the group. So yeah, we're coming back into it. I want to do it something more like that, see if I can't get some sponsors behind it, have some bigger prizes, get some bigger numbers in there, and yeah, let me know what you think about that. But anyway, let's look at what the new challenge is. You guys said you like that. So we're going to look at the new challenge, and you can be thinking about that or even sketching on it as we go through the review of the submissions from this last one. So the new challenge does continue the Dagon and Daphne series, I guess, if you want to consider it a series. As we note in here, they find a fully intact burial mask. That is what you're going to be handling. So another write-up, as if this was a regular commission sent to you by a client. It is for the same fictional game, Spireville artifact, illustration. It is 2,000 wide by 1,500 tall. And the art title is the Bakhtu Burial Mask, rare artifact from the Sorrowing Crypts. Discovered by Dagon and Daphne Stormbrew, this burial mask belonged to a male member of the Bakhtu royal family. This full-face mask was crafted to resemble the likeness of the deceased, including the short beard and facial markings. This well-preserved artifact has a black and red lacquer finish with gold embellishments and feathers fanning from under the top. Depict the mask laying atop a stone pedestal. If it was, the fictional game, use of the mask grants a 2-hour astral sight and wisdom bonus and reduces dexterity and prowess for the same period. I've included some reference ideas for the mask. First, you would have, of course, the ancient Egyptian pharaoh mask. This great mask that was designed, I remember it from the Prince Caspian movie. The King of the Telmarines wore this. We have the mask from the Death Eaters in the Harry Potter series, and the Leper King mask from the movie Kingdom of Heaven. Now, if you want a copy of this description and these reference images, make sure you're joining me on Facebook, the Facebook group for Swatches, which is at swatches.group. It'll hot link you right to there, and I will post this out there, and you can go get all of this information. And again, this is a 2-week challenge, so sketches can be submitted in for next week, and I will review what I can, give you some quick feedback on that. And then the final needs to be submitted by April the 23rd. You do not need to send in a sketch before the final. You can submit a final in without a sketch submitted. That's fine. If you do submit a sketch, you do have the chance just to get some feedback before the final comes on. So we've got a lot of people joining here. Nick's good to see you. Orinji, Isabella, welcome. Federico, good to see you. James, GSR. Yeah, hopefully you get in on this. Hello, everybody, and good night. Well, Federico, I'm glad you're able to join in for a little bit. All right, so that is what we're going to be doing for this next challenge. And hopefully everybody will jump into this before we take our break through the month of May. And then we also want to be doing some themed like challenges, or maybe just themed sketching for a month. So I will give you some more information about that when that comes up. Otherwise, let's take a look at the submissions. There we go. Soaring Crypt Finals. So we only had 15 this month. This challenge. So, 15. 17. These Nicholas and Matthew did not submit it into the Dropbox in time. They were late. I did see it posted on Facebook, so I just grabbed them and dropped them in here. But we'll flip through these, see if we can do some quick comments, and at least do a roll call. Okay. First up is Agata. I'm not sure how you say your name. Agata. I remember the sketch on this one. I believe these were more planar, flat planes, and I said you kind of need to find a consistent shape between those, and you did. You made those more column-like. You changed this creature up a little bit. It's almost like is it 2 spiders? Multi-spider. Yeah, okay. Venomous. That one spits acid. It's a creature that's multiple creatures. Curious. We have the breakdown of the tower here. Defensive tower. Okay. Tombs are up here. Missing step. Look out. Storage area. Vault. Alright, so they have like not just a tomb, but an entire building with storages and stuff. Like, people would actually stay here and guard this area. I like it. Alright, very soft tones. Good detail on the tower. Good depiction of the stonework, if I can say it that way. A lot of people get very liney with the way that they do stones. And I like the way that you did it. Like, in some areas you highlight the mortar, and then other areas you just darken the stones themselves. And you do that back and forth, and that's a good way to do it. Okay, next up, let's take a look at Alessandra. Alright, got a graffiti says, Swatches, what is the program you're using and tablet? Do you think the iPad Pro is a good device for on-the-go painting? What program do I use for painting? That would be Photoshop CC. What are the current 2016, I guess? I forget exactly. Whatever the current Photoshop CC is. And that's subscription based. I think I paid $10, $15 a month for that. Yeah. Then I use a Wacom bamboo stylus pad. I've used this one for quite a few years. And do I think the iPad Pro is a good device for on-the-go painting? Yes, I do. I've used it for travel sketching, and it works very well. It's a pretty powerful device, and it's a nice sensitivity and everything. It comes with a pretty heavy price tag though. So yeah. Alessandra. Okay. Alessandra, I have to say I probably like your plant the most of all. It's really it's kind of pretty. I like this idea that essentially there's one big leaf right here, and out of that leaf comes one flower. It has a very drippy look to it. Nice look, nice colors. Pretty simple. We got some carvings going on there that fits the outline. I feel like this is a concept. It's just not really refined. It has a distinct haziness to everything. But you have to remember that there's a difference between things being hazy and having like a realistic mist to it. And I feel like this is just getting more hazy than it is more realistic mist. One of the things about a really misty area is that the contrast goes down a lot, so that you don't have a real distinct light and shadow as much as you would have general diffused light that sort of softens down the contrast between lit and shadow areas because of the how much diffused light and bounce light there is everywhere. Good. Okay. Next up, we have Boy Sets Fire 22, Lucas. I got a couple of them. You got with the leaning one here. That one's fallen over. That's probably the one that they were able to get into and find the burial mask in. And I guess this is one of the crypts. Okay, yeah, this is probably the one that's fallen over. And it's got like skeleton dude and some sort of ancient writing, I would imagine here. And the poisonous plant. Okay. The hills are better. All right, I feel like it would probably do better if we had a little bit some more light on these guys. Like, they are the focus. It feels like this image is about the mountains, and these are just set pieces for the mountains. And we need that reversed, right? We need it about these guys and less about the mountains. And that mainly does with how you handle the lighting on the scene. Cool. Oh, thanks. Citronius. All right, let's see what we got here. We got some notes. Okay, yeah, these are the same thing. I read these last time. So, and you can pause this if you're watching this review. You can read all this. Don't necessarily want to because we read it last time. Yeah, you took some of the feedback and made some adjustments to this. Yeah, that makes a lot more sense. Originally, it was a little more haphazard with some of the shapes. This looks more consistent. Added some more details up here. The plant looks good. This viscous stuff is kind of neat. And then a bit of the colors there on the leaves. Like it. Yeah, I remember. Yeah, okay, you offset these. That was one of the things. They were like even the first time around. So you changed them and they're kind of zigzag now. That works way better compositionally. Yep. Cool. Sam asks, a focal character should have the highest contrast. Does this mean contrast against the background or internally within the character? Should have the highest contrast. Does this mean the contrast against the background? Well, it could be both or either. It depends what the background is and what the lighting situation is. You don't always have the option that the highest contrast will be between the character and the background. But there's other ways that you can bring focus to a, say, focal character. And that could be by having at least the brightest light is on the character, thereby overall making them stand out. Or you could have the brightest colors on the character, making them stand out. The most detail on the character, same thing. So, yeah, that really does depend. Or which one of those you go with depends on the particular piece and the arrangement of your elements. Okay. I think this has a lot of the right mood. I would like to see maybe a little more reference and working in some more colors. We got like just a lot of gray. I feel like this could use another pass and really be stepped up with the right references and expanding the palette out just a little bit. It's a lot of monotonous of the same colors, like this bluish tone, which would be true. The atmosphere, of course, would be adjusting a lot of the colors and bringing that mini Clint above the regular. Oh, are we getting that over there? Yeah, I can expand that out a little bit. I forget exactly where the screen ends right there. Yeah, but I like it. Good combination of the overgrowth, the vines. It feels like it definitely has an architectural style to it, that they had a particular look. That works well. Okay, nice, Tronius. Next up, Daniel K. Daniel, I don't recognize your name. Is this the first time that you've entered? Also, yeah, maybe I just missed it and I didn't recognize it. Alright, pretty straightforward scene of the crypts themselves. I like the layout. You added it into the full journal style. And today we managed to find the crypt of one of the so far most intact stone tablets, giving us an estimate of the age of the artifacts within. The tomb is that of Flonius, high priest of the Saurian March. Flonius, it has dates on there, locked in. Multi-tiered tower. I kind of like the multi-tier idea. That's cool. The March Rat. Long something finger. Venomous teeth. Webbed fingers for larger flights. Larger. You know, your creature really is probably the best thing. I like your little creature. It's sort of like a rabbit meets flying squirrel bat. And yeah, that's pretty cool. I like him. Nice one. I would keep working with this. This is another one that I kind of said back on the last episode about being a very basic architecture, and that's fine. What you want to do is come up with your overall shape to begin with, give it a distinct shape, which you're going for a 3-tier thing. Then go find some references of different architectural styles, even ancient ones or modern ones, whatever it is, and find some shapes and forms that you like, and add that in there. It just gives it a sense of culture and believability to that. Excellent work. Thank you. David going for more of a pen and ink style, and of course, all styles, mediums are welcome. It is digital, but it does look pen and ink style. Definitely going for the very totem look. Okay. Good call outs. Got the plant. Oh, okay. You came up with like an entire language. That's cool. I appreciate that. Yeah, the runes. Very neat. Venomous plant. I like your plant. That's a particularly nice illustration right here. Very clean. I'm feeling that. That's cool. Alright. I don't know that I'm getting the right mood off of that. It's probably a little more difficult to try to get the mood off of a ink drawing without doing a lot of work to put in shadows and all kinds of lighting with your ink. So on that, I don't think it's necessarily lining up, but I appreciate the design work you got here. It definitely has a distinct look to it. And it's like half geometric, half person. Good combination. You got a good style going on there with what you created with that. Don't have too much to say. I think the scene itself could have probably been pushed further. These just feel like they're kind of placed into the scene. We don't really have any like moss or aging on these guys. We don't see like any stonework on the ground like this used to be somewhere of a particular importance. So that could probably be developed more, just like the ground, the landscape, the feeling of like the scene overall. But I'm digging your oh, and then also scale reference. Like I could assume this door only because I know that's supposed to be a door, but otherwise I could easily think that that's just the size of a man. Like a couple little things in there giving me a scale reference would be good. Yeah, like your plant. Strong point there. Yeah, sorry, it does have an old ink style. I'm getting that definitely. Like if Dagon had just had a old ink pen, and he's doing that and did a quick color of it. Makes sense. Good rune shapes too. Jeremy. Yeah, I remember this one. Yeah, the multi-tier one with the jungle scene coming down. And I said you basically just needed to keep cleaning it up. And it looks like you did. Yeah. A lot cleaner. You got this sort of thing going around. A couple of different styles. Your little totem dudes down here. I got a cool plant. Yeah, for this, I almost feel like I would prefer to have this smaller so I could see the rest of the scene here, because like this is the main image. It just kind of feels odd that you covered it up there. I like this scene as far as like if it was a game, this would be a really good design for like a level of like a 3D game, because you could go exploring the multi levels and there's places that you could hide things, like treasure chest, and yeah, that would work well. You might think about getting into doing some of that, like level design, the 3D level design, because it looks like you think that direction. So that's good. This again feels like a good pass at it, but then it could have another good detail realism pass with some extra references. Like the colors seem pretty straightforward, and these roots seem like you just wanted to get the idea of roots. But if we could go back and look at some references of how trees like that use those sorts of roots, how they work into cracks, the shapes that they form, that they have a very particular pattern about them. And if we incorporated more of those, I think it would be good. I'd love to see like a slightly more realistic pass at this. Not that everything has to be realistic, but it looks like you're going that direction already. So let's take it, one step further. And I don't really have too much to say about your plant. I like your plant. Yeah, little spiky leaves here. Oh yeah, I didn't mention that in the review. Let's give some different texture to those. Works for me. Good color pop to them. Good. Thanks for the entry, Jeremy. Julia. Okay, so this is just the text from the original outline, and you've put it around here. Okay, so we won't read all that. We already read that. And we have the main scene up here. You've come up with this basic shape, which is like I don't know if that's a 4 or a 3 spike on the tops of all these with a pyramid shape under. Very distinctive shape. So I can get behind that. I'm not sure what the super bright light is. That's confusing me a little bit, because I feel like... Oh, is this like inside of a big cave and like that's outside and the light's coming in? But no, that wouldn't make sense because it's raining. Yeah, I'm a little confused about what the big light is, because we're obviously outside because it's raining. But I like the shape you got going on here. And this seems a little like haphazard. Like, and it's just kind of getting lost in the dark. So I think that could use some refining. I'm getting behind this though. I'm feeling this. I love the textures you have going on here. We've got a variety of little different color. We've got some like I'm saying reddish. That's not red. The oranges color. We got some plants. We've got some aging. Discoloration is nice. And enough of the architecture that you definitely feel like some work got put into it. And you two went with the plant. All right, little fuzzy plant. This is one of those plants that you would you would come across and you'd probably think it's pretty non-assuming. Like, oh, that wouldn't hurt me. That's just a little bright flower thing. But of course, that one would kill you. All right, Julia, I like this. The plant's fine. But this, I think you're going really heavy with the darks, and then I'm just not understanding what's going on with the lighting. And then you have that like right behind this big one. The big one could be in the front. That's fine. But what you probably want to do is have that one, and then a medium-sized one over here on this side, and then let it go back to the little ones. Because all we have is like one big one, and then lots of the same size little ones. And we kind of need somebody in between that to jump us to that level of the scene. Okay, next up. I'm going to butcher the name here. Kaberu. Soaring Crypts. Excellent color realism on this. I'm digging this. Again, like, not all styles... all styles are accepted, but he's obviously going for realism, and he's pulling it off very well. So, good muted colors. See, this mist scene, you can have a misty scene without it being fuzzy. It just means that you're limiting the values correctly, and you're limiting the edges correctly. That's what we got going on here. And overall, I like your breakdown, too. The little edging that you've done on this, the way that you put it in here and added like the little texturing around the sides of your illustrations. Good way to put them all together just for visual representation. We got the plant, big coil plant here. Got some flowers coming off of it, red tips on it. All right, that's pretty neat. That's pretty neat. And I guess these are like designs that he's copying out that he found on the different crypts. That's cool. Clint, your webcam tends to hide the bottom right of the pieces. Yeah, let me pull camera settings, OBS. Where's OBS? Let me pull this over. It's like there. Okay. I need to look at what you were looking at so I can see where I need to put it. It goes to right about there. Okay. Minimize that. So yeah, got the plant. Okay, you got like the face here, some little designs there. This is all rotting off. Good use of your brush strokes, not going overly detailed. You're saying a lot with not a lot. Good control of the values and the colors. Got that one busted open. So, like, I see these designs, but I don't see those reflected in anything up here. That does confuse me a little bit. Like, I would expect to see, you know, like one of these in part of the stonework or in this area. That does give me a little disconnect. I don't see that connection there, but, yeah. Eduardo, hello, how's it going? Michael, how's it going? All right, cool. Good work. That's solid work. I like it overall. Very good. Manual. Yeah, good journal layout. Another. Got the whole journal. Put it out here. As if he has his painting swatches up here that he's getting his paint from. I like that. Got some notes here. No way to get to the top. The structure looks crippy. Daphne, you go first. Yeah, definitely crypt. Careful here. Here must be the principal door. I'm not going alone. Daphne scale reference. Soaring Crypts, resting place for the Bakhtu royal family. Here I found the strange insect. Looks like a magic key. Amazing. Nothing is holding this rock. Perfect ellipse. Nothing is holding together these rocks. Gravity doesn't work here. Oh, that's a clever idea. Like there's some sort of magic or something unique about these rocks that allow it to form in unnatural ways. That ellipse again. This insect means something. Oh, that's neat. Like even insect has that same ellipse pattern on it. Scale reference. Insect to the hand. Okay, big insect. All right. Poisonous. Let's not let him bite you and figure that one out. Yeah, I'm with Citronius. This is an excellent presentation. That's fun. That's fun. I do like the overall outline here of your scene of like you've got these great diagonals here with a big vertical. Here, like this is probably like the king, and then maybe these are like the servants or something that was buried with him. The blue-green glow back here is a nice way to offset these guys. So that's cool. I think some more color on this guy is really kind of begging to put... yeah, begging to have some color on him to break him out a bit from the... all the grayness of the stone. I get it. Okay, the gray stone. But this guy could have some pop to him. Swatches, you should put a post-it note over the section of your monitor that we can't see to remind you. Oh. Yeah, I can do that. Or I could just try to remember not to move things over. Okay. Maybe I'll scoot my chair over. I'll make sure I put it in front of myself. I don't have any post-it notes in here, so yeah. You know, I would like to see a bit of light maybe behind this tower just to pull him out a little bit. We get a good amount of contrast here. Maybe just a bit of light in the sky behind there to pull that out. I would like to see a bit more work on the stonework. Like, I feel like these were just carved out a bit, but there's not a lot of craftsmanship, and this was a royal family. So at least on this big tower, if we could have a bit of the color, like I mentioned that in the outline, like almost all the colors faded, but it should still have some color, right? It is painted, it had colored tile work, it had some gold leafing, it had some other colored stone, something just to give it a little pop so it stands out from just all the normal rocks. But I'm very pleased with this. I'm very pleased with the direction. Your creature looks good. I could totally buy that as a normal dangerous insect. Again, pop of color. I think that's what one of the main things we're looking at is a bit of color and the stone, a little more design into the stonework. The designs were a continuation of the faint stone release visible in the left tower. Seems like I made them too faint. You must have. You got this feels just very natural, like organic sort of stonework. Next up, Marco. All right, very swampy, marshy interpretation. That's cool. Soaring crypts from the marsh. Got some god rays coming in here. Most of it looks like it has fallen away. We got the entrance with some runes on top. The Bakhtu family crypt after clearing all the moss and vegetation. Okay, he cleaned it up. This is what it looks like. The Violet Widowmaker. Excellent name. I dig that. Okay. All right, I'm liking the scene. The general scene that you're setting here. I feel like we could expand it out more, though. Like, this should be, like I said, multiple crypts. And like a forest of obelisks. So we could get that and like expand the scene out so that we have, you know, the tower from this one, and then we see another one back there, and we see another one back here, and so they just keep going off into the distance. Right now it just feels like there's one of them. So, you know, that's one thing I would do. I'd also say that we could punch up the light a little bit. Like if there's going to be some light coming down on this, then light it up, and we could bring some more color to the scene and still keep it I wouldn't say ominous. We could still brighten it up and keep it ominous. That's fine. It's pretty straightforward. Plan's pretty straightforward. I like that you have some plants with the color. There's just like not enough of them. You know, one thing that you could do is, if you didn't want to bring too much color but want to bring some, it's like the backlighting some of the willow leaf branches hanging down. And then you get this great bright green backlight. So it's like this area feels kind of safe and nice, but then the rest of it gets dark and more muted. Yeah. Marco, thank you. Excellent entry. Mikolaj. Mikolaj has his tower here. Cool. Not the door. The door. I remember seeing these. The whole scene, you adjusted that up some. You have like the main one. It used to be that they were almost all the same size. I remember that. That is better. Nope. And the bridge. Somebody's like, do not cross this. Again, I'm digging your tower design here with the statues along each of the column. And then those are inset. That's neat. This is Daphne, I take it, because she has purple hair. Yeah, all right. Good. Yeah, it's just needing another pass. Like, I don't have that much to say about it. There are some things that you could do to kind of break this up. Like, all of this is very monotonous, and it doesn't really add anything. A lot of this is not really adding anything. So we can make better use of a lot of this space by either making things closer or adding more elements that's going to give context to the scene. Adding some stonework down here that's fallen away. Add some trees up here. At least breaking up some of the sky. Allows some of the sky to, most of the sky to be the dark and kind of gray. I have a couple of little god rays breaking in. So at least there's not a real consistent kind of just sameness across the top. Down here, chasm, rope bridge, that's cool. No, this is one of those that you can, even on this, you could add like moss growing on this thing. And it's like, it's been here so long that half the boards are missing and it's got like plants growing on it. Yeah. This may even be a little bit too positive. Yeah, I'm digging your architectural style. I think that's probably the best thing about the whole issue. Yep. Excellent, Mikolaj. Ricardo. Yeah, okay, I remember this. You definitely adjusted some things. Instead of just having that one tower top right here, you put a big tree on the top of it. I like that move. And then got some staircases going on to get me around the scene. That's good. Still one of the highlights of all the entries, I think, is this design. Very cool design. The crypt detail. It has, I guess it's a rendition of like the original version of it. It has a lot of color to it. And good shapes, very distinct architecture. I think this is getting probably a bit too colorful, a bit, most of the other ones I'm saying tone it down. And on this one, I think, yeah, same thing. It's like, and the other ones I'm saying, let's bring a little color back. This one, I'm also want to say, let's take it down a little bit. And it's something else where we're getting a lot of glowing, all right? And we want to watch out for that. You don't want to necessarily do it like this. Like, you can add mist. Adding mist doesn't just mean getting a really light color and hazing it over stuff. That's not necessarily the best way to paint mist. Because what it's going to do is just give this grayness to everything. Because you're getting a really light value and you're putting it over very vibrant colors and you're putting it over very dark colors. And it's just going to gray out the scene. And we got a lot of that grayness. We're also having glowing edges. We're getting a glowing edge around here. And it's where things get lighter at the edge of other things. And this is just something I've been noticing, not just in your work. I'm calling it out because I see it here and it's reminding me. Because we have like glowing edges here, around here, and here. glowing edges down here, around here. These things have like some little glowing edges around them. And let's try to move away from that. Let's just let the values themselves create the distinctions rather than the fuzzy edges. The plant is colorful. Definitely more of a like design version of it though, not necessarily a realistic depiction, because everything's like flat to us. I like the shapes here. I feel like this is kind of unnatural though. The way that the one stalk has other branches that have little fruits on an even way. Normally plants don't have scattered fruit. Like, it's going to be bundled in one particular area or not. And the same thing with leaves. The leaves usually come in bundles, not necessarily on an even along the way. So yeah, take a look at some other plants. The top of it is pretty cool. So we might want to simplify the rest of it and double down on the top. So. Rishav. Soaring Crypts. I'll have to admit, it looks much welcoming that what I expected for an abandoned graveyard with such a deep, dark past from the legends to be. Alright, so yeah, this doesn't really look ominous. So I'm gonna call that one out. I do like the idea that maybe even this, I feel like the stones themselves have kind of a pearlescent quality to them, which is really interesting. I'd like to see a more detailed past though. Everything's pretty straightforward, and also let's tone down the positiveness to it. Rock vermin. Sort of a nocturnal rodent dwelling in the surrounding marsh. Best to keep your distance and make no physical contact because you can't be sure what new brand of plague these little rascals can doom our whole town with. Yeah. Royal Crypt. Had to clear out a mammoth-sized rocks that barred the entrance with my drilling equipment. Daphne, growing impatient by the minute, suggested blasting through the door with some incendiary spells. But I knew better than fiddle with magic in an ancient enchanted crypt, and I was proven right by the discovery of all the runes inscribed over the structure that shone at the first touch of moonlight. Yeah, I think this is your strongest element right here. Martin, hey, barely finished my homework. Well, I'm glad you took care of your homework first, but welcome. Yeah, this is nice. I like the rune work going on here, the glowingness. The designs going on. So you got like the big stone, and then basically you have a more detailed structure in front of that. That's cool. Nocturnal animal. I mean, the nose seems kind of odd. I'd almost want to say like that needs to really be played up more, or that really needs to be minimized. It's sort of stuck in between, like it needs to be really long. Like, it's obviously this very unique sensory thing that it has. Or it needs to be made much smaller. And probably this leg needs to be brought forwards a little bit. The fact that those two are even, but that should be closer to us. That's a small thing, but the legs seem a little odd to me. Like, anatomy is a little off on that. But okay, yeah, he's cool. Yeah, I particularly like your knight illustration there. We also have Stefan. Hey, little lore continuations with the journal notes. Yeah. Stefan continued with his, what I would consider like the Highlands concept that he had. Originally, they were just like basic stones sticking up. I'd said, let's see some little more architecture in that. Some more visual information on those. So you added that in. I can't remember if you had this one there or not. I want to think you didn't, and I suggested that. I could be wrong, but I think you added that one in there. And that's good. It helps bridge us into the scene. He did give more breakdowns up here. We got mainly runes, some sort of language, pictographs on here. Inside a crypt is like this particular extra box. Then they're buried inside of the box in a sitting position. And then you went with a vermin creature, 2-eyed, 6 legs. One of the things that I always love about your stuff, Stefan, is it has a very high level of believability to it. And I like that. I feel like this is a creature that could exist. And evidently you look up a lot of references and you take cues from your references. Probably the same thing for this. You probably found some sort of picture of Ireland or Scotland or wherever and base some colors or lighting on that. I appreciate that you didn't go this dark with all of them, that you get a atmosphere with them. Again, yeah, you got your birds up there. Excellent work. Not overly detailed, like you didn't go into trying doing all these blades of grass and stuff. It's very high quality. And a quick scale reference there. Nice. And this is interesting. I hadn't really thought about a sitting tomb, a sitting burial. But you got a couple of little items in there. Cool structure. Nice work, as always. Nicholas. Now, Nicholas, I can't let you... I can't have you, in the line for winning because it didn't actually get submitted to the Dropbox, and that's how you have to submit. But I did see it on Facebook, and I wanted to at least pull it up here and say, hey, it was finished, and here's what Nicholas did. So here we go. It does diverge from the outline. It should have been, like I said, like a forest of stone obelisk. You've gone from more like one big building, and that's fine. And I'll tell you guys this too. If you hit on an idea that you like that doesn't necessarily follow my outline, do whatever you want. The whole point of the challenge is to just help give you guys some ideas, a little motivation, inspiration to draw something. And if it just means that my challenge helped give you an idea for something else, just do whatever you're interested in. You don't have to worry about, making me happy about it. So if this is what came to his mind, he's like, dude, I want to draw this scene. Then draw that scene. So overall, I like the mood. You got a great mood established. The dark and raininess, that's totally coming through. I like seeing the water down here. It makes sense that we'd have some runoff water from these different areas, and it's flooding down through here. Exposed roots, that's excellent. I mean, that's the sort of thing that would really happen. A couple of flags, big round tower, heraldry thing. That's cool. I feel like I want something a little more from all of this. Like, it's a very big kind of blank shape. Like, if there was, this sort of thing that has the, I'm sure there's an architectural term for it, ledge, this platform thing that goes across here. Like, if there was another one up here, that would just break it up a little bit, or just 2 more columns. So that we have something in there to grasp onto visually. I feel like I look up here and I look at these two, and then it's like, that's all that there is basically to look at it. This is sort of an odd tangent where, like, basically the sky is forming just around the top of this tower. And I would prefer to see, like, this light taken out, so it basically cuts behind here and then out the other side. And so it doesn't look like the sky is purposely lit just behind the top of the tower. There's probably a little better way to handle that. Just take out a little of the tangent. This is also a good place that you could break this ground up, where right now you have this huge one piece, right? You've got this thing on this side, this thing on this side, and this big thing in the middle. And that's fine. That's fine compositionally. But let's break the ground up so that maybe it has another division coming across here. And like maybe this big section of it is in a different piece than that one. And that way we've kind of got like two things going on. You kind of, cutting them that way too. I think that would help a little bit. And you could have water kind of running off one of those. But overall, man, I'm pretty happy with this. That's kind of cool. Nicholas did, yeah, here we go. So he continued it. So this would be like the back of the tower. And this is a full thing. Like there's an entire fireplace and meeting area. You got the tree up here because the top, broke in. And the old tomb in the back. I like that. That is a nice 3D cutaway breakdown. The 3D form is very excellent. And the cutaway is pretty cool. I like that. I follow the shapes there really well. It confuses me a little bit. Like, I would expect to see that these two were connected. I feel like this is like a fireplace, and not like a doorway. So I don't know how you're going from here to here. And I assume I would have thought that those, like there would be a stairs from here to there, or a doorway from here to there. But maybe not. Maybe not. Maybe this is just a tower for the keeper of the crypt area. Then that is self-contained. I don't know. Just a thought. Good feedback. Nice image. Matthew. Okay. Pull it over here. I think that'll go above my image. Matthew, another one. Nice scroll depiction here. And you added the bridge into your scene. I said that you could do that. That's fine. And you got the towers back here. Very European style with it. That's fine. I didn't say that it had any particular style. Scale reference. Got the burial chamber, shrine entrance, faded symbol. Obviously, you went with the photo bashing technique and put in stone textures, gold textures, probably tombstone elements. You put them together well. The lighting, the mist, the atmosphere all works together quite well on the scene. Overall, I'm pretty happy with this. That's pretty cool. A little light, I think. You have a bit of light behind this tree. You just visually, image-wise, you probably want to pop that out a little bit more. Otherwise, it looks, at first glance, that the tree is that entire width. So let's establish that and get that off of there. This also might be a place that you want to expand that, like take this away a little bit. Because it feels like that's not that big of a chasm. And we'll kind of ramp up the danger a little bit by opening that chasm a little bit deeper and a little bit further. But, dude, I'm pretty happy with this. I think you said that you didn't get as much work into it as you wanted. I think another thing is I'd almost prefer like having like this one here and then letting them drift back into the background, like further, more of them. I feel like you kind of went with that, but I feel like these three just sort of make a visual plane, and it stops me. And if we scattered it, so like this height, and then that height, and then this height, and that zigzag pattern with the top of it would help lead your eye back into it. Ideally, because this is the center, this is where we get to look the furthest down the image. Yeah, just a thought. Compositionally, that would probably work out better. So, okay. That is all of the entries. So this time, well, yeah, first, I've got and James says, nice work, everyone. Yes, excellent work, everybody. I know that this is a lot of work, and it takes research, it takes a lot of effort. And there's also just your kind of your confidence about putting your stuff in front of other people where they can see it. So I appreciate everybody who has entered, and for this time I've got to pick the winner, and for me the standout, it's Stefan. So Stefan wins this time around. This is just such a clean, professional take. For me, it checks all the marks of the outline and gives me a really great creature, well designed tombs, great scene. We have some other great ideas as well, and the concepts. I just feel like he nailed the realism and the overall the most points the best. So very cool. And congrats to Stefan. He gets $25 from QBrush to buy any of their cool videos and resources out on their site. So excellent work. And I will be in contact with you as soon as I can about hooking you up with that. Some of the others also did excellent work. Kabaru really stand out as well. I can't really point out too much that I would change about it. I mentioned a couple of small things, but you two also had some excellent work. Man, I wish I had something to drink in here. I forgot to get a cup of water. My throat's getting dry. So that's what we have. If you guys have questions, comments about this challenge, next challenge, or other art stuff, or even any of the Vibrance topics, then feel free to put them in here. I'll try to take those. Otherwise, we should do some painting or do some paint overs. Let me toss it to you guys. Let's get some feedback from the chat. We can do either some paint overs about some ideas of how to maybe change some of this stuff, or we can do more paintings like these where I'm going to be coloring up these composition sketches. Which one do you guys rather see? Where can I join for being part of these swatches and contest? T-Dud3, is that T-Dude? 3 for an E? Anyway, you want to go out to the Facebook group at swatches.group, and they'll send you to the Facebook group. Just ask to join. I pretty much just okay everybody who asks, and I will put out the outlines in that location, and yeah, you just submit it in. I will put up a Dropbox submission link, and that's where you submit your files. So day before, just go out to the Dropbox folder, upload your file, and then I download all those as the entries. Yep. I'd love to see a paint over, coloring the composition stuff for Isabella. I'm studying fundamentals this week, so whichever would highlight those more. If I had to choose, I think a paint over. Swatches, suggestion, do some original concepts of marsh plants or creatures. I did, however, really enjoy the thumbnails. Amazing. Thanks, Clint. Yeah, you're welcome, T-Dude. Maybe we'll do one of each if we can do it quickly. I do have concepts to do tonight. I've got some sketches submitted to a client. So I'm going to try to wrap this up in half an hour. Let's give it about another 30 minutes. So, okay, let's take a look at some of this. And, you know what? Let's grab Jeremy's, because I'm just curious about this scene. Okay, open this in Photoshop. Cool. And then I want to go ahead and crop this down a little bit. Let's say that we just go back to mainly this scene. What size is this? Okay, that's big enough. Yeah, that's fine. And then I want to look up some references, environments. Here we go. Clean up by name. So I want Like, see, here's some of those trees that like to grow over everything. So we'll pull that over. Copy and paste that. Now that has a similar lighting. This kind of has a similar lighting. Let's open both of those up. What else do we need? Anything? Seeing if I have all the colors that I was thinking of. It's more of that kind of tree, the way the tree works. Get that as a reference. I sort of like those colors too. I don't know if I'd use anything from that, but let's just open it up and see. Okay, now I grab those. I'll make a new folder, and that's not a folder. I grab all these folders, reference images, toss it in the folder, make a new one of those. I feel like we are almost giving Clint a challenge, like they say in those tattoo this is our spotlight challenge. You must create an original drawing in new school style. Yeah. Okay. Oh, well, I can't go full screen. I can't see the chat. So, there we go. It has to be about like that. Over here a little bit. Now, I want to make a duplicate of this and grab references, set that to 130. Over here. These on. Just a moment, I'll get this stuff situated. And this is usually how I lay it out. I make an extra wide area to my canvas off to the left side, and then I just toss my reference images over that and keep them off of my actual canvas. And because my screen is much wider than it is tall, then I usually go to the left side. Sometimes I'll do it along the top. Doesn't really make a difference, just whatever works for you. So I like to color my folders so I immediately know what kind of thing I'm looking at. I'm going to toss this up at the top, turn that off, set that to green because that's a painting layer. Okay. Now, what do we want to do here? Okay, the first thing I want to do is paint out this fellow that was overlapping down here. Just put in some basic tone. All right. Obviously, that's all just very flat tone, but I just need to kind of get rid of him real quick. Now, all right, the colors are very bright right now, so let's put an adjustment layer on. I'm going to go with Vibrance and just that. Bring the vibrance down a bit. All right, just mute it down a little bit. And then I also want to put on a color balance. There we go. And for this, I'm looking at this and I want to bring in a bit more of these colors. I feel like this is very, very green. And I'm thinking for the mid-tones, add a bit more warmth into them. Yeah. Not a big difference. I just want to spread that out a little bit. Okay. Now, one of the next things I'm looking at is the contrast. Value-wise, the image is very contrasty. heavy darks. Then a lot of the lighter areas are much lighter. So that's one of the things I want to hit. You can see how the contrast is much lower here. The shapes, the values, the local values of the things are really what stands out from each other. And I think it's okay. We can have like a certain area being lit, but we don't want that same contrast on everything. So, what is the difference in vibrance, adjustment, and saturation? You know, honestly, I'm not sure what the technical difference is. I know that it does change them differently. Because like you can turn the vibrance all the way down and you still have a little color. But if you have the vibrance normal and the saturation all the way down, you just got monotone. So yeah, I wish I could give you the answer. Vibrance is a newer thing, so I'm not entirely sure. I didn't research it. But I find that it is generally a little more subtle of a change than saturation. So vibrance still allows a little color to stay in there, where saturation basically brings it back to gray. Sorry, I can't give you a better answer on that. Alright, so where do I want to start? Alright, I'm going to start... I just got to start painting on it and kind of see where we go. I think we have to start by knocking down some of the values. Figuring out. We've got this going on. This is really odd. I'm probably going to paint that out. So I'm thinking like we can have this area lit. Let me grab something lighter. So I'm thinking this area can have some light coming down on it. But remember this. You don't usually want to paint the light itself. God rays aren't usually the answer. Instead, paint what the thing is that's being lit. It will tell you that light is hitting it. So you paint the object being lit. Don't paint the light. Except for very specific circumstances and done in particular ways. So if that's going to be lit, then I probably want that to go towards more of a silhouette at the top. I want it to go into shadow. But with this much atmosphere and this much canopy from the trees, you're not going to get black shadows, except in very dark crevices. So most of the black I want to knock down and get rid of. Yeah, I think that's getting too vibrant. I need something duller than that, because you're only going to get vibrant like that if it's getting proper sunlight on it, but it's not. When the light's diluted, the color that it makes is going to be diluted as well. Then down here we can have something it's like this. This could be brighter. You know, I'm going to add a color layer and adjust this. Like these stones are a bit blue, so I'm going to just knock them back a bit. But then I want to say that these are stones as well, so I want actually some of that blue added into this, so it links these two as being similar. All these have similar color. Now these are all going to have a greenish tint to them because it's coming through the canopy. Knock that tree down a little bit. Okay. I'm just thinking about the value scheme right now more than trying to retain the details up there. So I want to get that lighter as it's going back. He can be a bit lighter. I do like the idea of like the vines hanging down, but I want to block in everything behind them, and then I can come back and add that. I feel like this is kind of like a big overhang. So we can establish that, and that's okay. And then that really needs to all be knocked down. None of that is receiving direct light. I'm going to be able to see some of that value in there. Okay, and then how bright is this light? Probably not real bright. So the light, the strength of the light will determine the shadows. So a really intense light will create a really high contrast between the light and shadow areas. So you'd have very like washed out lights and very black shadows. I don't want it to be quite that strong, so I'm going to bring up the value of the blacks a little bit. My stomach's gurgling. And then I let that light sort of start fading off there. Yeah. I think this is a good place that we could have one of those roots running down through there. And this also might be a place that we can have like some bit of like grass or something. I'm not sure what's going on. I assume that this is all like stone back here. And again, because it's not just a black hole, I'm going to put some color leading back. Some of that back there might be a bit darker. And this tree is getting black very quickly. I want to knock down these highlights. So again, I'm just mainly going after the value scheme right now. Trying to get something bit more realistic, and it's hard to try to get everything at the same time. Like I'm slowly adjusting some of the stuff on this tree at the same time, but that's not my major concern. Same thing here. I don't think we necessarily need light hitting this. This is something else that would need to be adjusted, like the steps. Like, you know, the tree kind of swallows up the steps maybe at that point. Then we have some plants down here. It's catching some light. I think most of the ground here, it's going to have some sort of vegetation on it. So I'll give a little of that. And it looks like you have some stones here. I think maybe we could have like the staircase is sort of like wrapping around. Yeah. And it looks like you have like a pool going on. In which case it's going to be reflecting the colors up there. Looks like that's like a built staircase. So we can do that. Just to remind me, I do want like that hanging down here. I don't know. It would take me some time to work out the colors of that pool. I might just take that pool out for the moment. I do like the idea that there is some sort of flower thing back there that has different colors. Oh yeah, I put that all on that layer here. No, the scales right now they don't. That's not my. I mean the stairs don't recede properly. That's not my biggest concern. Oh, sorry. I'm trying to concentrate. Running low on time, and I'm just in this area where it is getting some light. I do want to add in a bit of pop of color on that particular spot. And then maybe there could be like some sort of little plant over here that's getting some sunlight. So that's going to have a pop. You know, there could be a little spot here or there that's getting some sunshine. So I can go around and add pops around there as well. Got that. Just adding like minor stuff, just adding like little texturing stuff. You could go up here and add things like maybe this vine is catching some light, yeah. That. Some minor light coming in and maybe catching like side of this one up here. Swatches, do you sometimes find that loose sketches end up being just not constructionally feasible, causing you to drop the idea, or do you always find a compromise between sketch and construction? Do I find that loose sketches end up being just not constructionally feasible, causing you to drop the idea? Well, sometimes I find that my sketch puts down the idea that I have in mind, but it's not within the scope of my abilities or time to do that particular concept. I don't always have time or a means to do every concept that I have. So, I mean, if that's what you're saying, then yeah. Just because I thought of it doesn't necessarily mean that I can pull it off, or pull it off within the time frame, you know, required. So yeah. This is also a good place that we could come in here and add some little vinies and some little plants, you know, coming up through here. I'm going to break, you know, some of that up a little bit. I want to add some like different kind of foliage. We can do some other kind of brush, add, you know, that sort of stuff. Plant stuff down here. Just give it some of that. We could have some like stones kind of scattered on the ground. And usually I'll get an idea if I flip it horizontally. That's working pretty well. What else could we do? I was trying to think of like quicker things that we could do to add stuff. I think some of that could be stonework back here. Like, it makes sense that that might have some sort of cave opening there, but then we've got lots of like roots coming down through all that. These guys are pretty neat. I'm gonna toss some more of those there. Let's grab some other color, something a little different. And some of this like yellowy thing, just to punch it up a little bit. Yeah. And I'd get maybe some of this cooler light, or actually this lichen, as it is. greenish color is really nice. That would be a good way to break up some of this, so let's do that. It'd be somewhere in this aqua color. Let's see, and I need... I'm making a new layer. That's not really the color that I need, but I put it on its own layer so I can adjust it on its own. And toss some of that on the stone areas. That's not the brush I thought it was. Oops. Yep. No, I need that as my eraser. Here we go. Alright, I need more yellow in it. Which is, what, that way? Yeah, just change it up a little bit. Maybe making another big door, unifying the two gray guys in the middle. Making another big door. Guys in the middle breaking the business. I'm not sure where you're referring to the other door being. This is like really big, heavy architecture. I don't think they would have columns like that. It doesn't really follow along with consistently kind of the way that they do architecture. It would be more like that. I'm gonna break this up some more. You know what? Let's take a big chunk out of that, right? And I want to create a little bit of a highlight and shadow pattern of just top lit and bottom lit on some of the grasses areas, so it feels like it has a little volume. Add some of the mossy stuff down here. Just pull out a couple of big stones on this thing. And usually at the base of stuff is where you're going to see a lot of plants growing up. So I want to make sure I add some of those along there. This should be a place that I'm adding in like these stairs right here is a good place to have some other color. I think we could have a cooler, kind of a cooler blue light as a bounce light. So I'm gonna pick that up. Let's go a little more vibrant with that. This way a little bit. Yeah, somewhere in that range. And I just want to highlight some of the stonework. Kind of the area that's facing upwards. Let's pull out a little bit there. Create a little three-dimensionality out of some of these forms. Because that's all feeling very flat. And what I'm trying to do is just bring a little more form to it by saying that there's a cool fill light. And I can come along with some of the stones in the shadows. Then like up here is where I can use that on these steps as well to kind of break that up and introduce another small color into the stone areas in the shadow side, so it doesn't just get too lost in value. And just trying to figure out, there's not going to be a big difference between the lit and shadowed planes on the steps because it's all shadowed, but I need to indicate a little bit, so that's what I'm doing. And then, of course, we want to add some stone segmentations, places where the stone is broken away. This would need a decent amount of detailing along this area that's closer to you to sell that nice close texture. And also, you'd want to bang up the edges quite a bit on these. It wouldn't be completely flat after this far. That's not what I meant to do. And we need to get that nice mossy color. We need to add some like moss growing up in the corners of these guys along this area. That needs to get more shadowed. All right, now let's flip it back and see what we got. Okay, yeah, let's get in there. No, I don't need info on. Oh, that's not what I meant to do. Oops. I just closed all my windows. Oh well. That's got that on there. Yeah. I don't know that I really need that lighter light on that. That's, now that I have it on there, I'm thinking that's not the best move. So let's pull out some of that. All right, anything else you would really need to do? Well, we could try doing exposure. I'll bring it over here, I can't see it. Oh, I can move all that off of there. That's not what I need. Sorry, my windows are playing tricks on me here. Okay, I'm gonna put exposure up, but then I'm gonna mask it and just hit the areas that I want to have some exposure on. I'll just paint that area in white. Like this. Boom, it's got to pop more color to it. And then I can have some areas up here that have some light hitting those. Maybe just pulling out that shape a little bit back there. Highlight this shape back here a little bit by having some light there. Yeah, like that. That helps that pop out a little bit. It's faster for me to do it that way with a quick adjustment layer than try to just hand paint it. That would get tiring quicker. So that's good. And we're losing the staircase back here, so this is a time where I would come back and grab basically that same cooler color that we have, but I would need a lighter tone of it. And come in and pull out a little bit on some of these steps. I'm intentionally not being completely consistent. I just want to do enough to pull out some of the steps, but not necessarily have them all even, right? I don't want to have it just one big spread of them. Down here, I want to bring out some of this stonework a little bit. Little spots of stone down here. Little stone guy. This is a very quick fall off. I want to follow very quick fall off on the colors, and I want to minimize that. So I need an in-between tone. My palette just got squished. There we go. Something like that. It's just going to sit in between the values of that real lit area and the values of the shadow areas. Because it's unlikely that that light would be like super, super sharp. It would have a little slower fall off than that. And I'm just very quickly trying to use brush strokes in order to mimic some of the shapes of them. Grass. Screw the creature plant concepts. This is far more valuable. Well, I'm glad you you like this direction, Radical. Okay, that's a little better. Yeah. Let's see. What else can we do? We kind of established this sort of tree thing back here. Let's do a little bit more and pull him out. We have like some sort of tree thing back here. I'm kind of looking at this plant. It has like some of these leaves, limbs sticking out. I do feel like there's a distinct lack of the smaller vegetation. We could definitely use like a plant up here. Do that little guy. Does that follow me? Yeah, I sort of like that one better. Let's erase some of these others. And then we can just highlight the tops of these up a little bit, try to give a little volume to them. And this tree is sort of getting lost. I want to bring him back a little bit. So what I'm wanting to do is try to use less like line style in order to separate things and use more value and color to separate them. And the trees could also have some cool light coming down on them. I don't think we're losing that rock back there, but that's fine. Just do that. We could just have another little series. You have this like smaller stone thing here, which we can kind of put, you know, like a design on it if I didn't have such a big brush. And then, you know, you continue that by having some other ones back there that have that same sort of thing going on. How can I work my focus for bigger periods of time like you're doing now? I feel exhausted from time to time. How can I do it for longer periods of time without losing focus? Well, honestly, you should be taking breaks like every 30 minutes, 45 minutes, somewhere in that range. And at least standing up, moving around. And I mean, obviously, I'm not because I'm doing a live stream and that's not really an option. Normally, I would take a break, and that would probably be a better idea. But set a timer, just set a timer, and you're like, you know, you need to stay there until the timer is done, and you put your timer on it, and then you start getting used to that. You'll start getting kind of your internal clock set to following that, and that'll help. Also, if you are really interested in what you're doing, you will naturally not have as much problem staying there for extended periods of time. You're probably not loving what you're doing, so you're more apt to want to get up. Your mind is more apt to wonder. I'm having a good time doing this, which is why I'm 20 minutes over what I thought I would do. Just because I'm enjoying it. I'm having fun with this color scheme. I'm having fun playing around with this lighting, and thus I'm not really tempted to go do other things. Yep. I always find these overall paint overs very helpful. I'd love to see a cleanup pass sometime to see how you develop detail. It's basically you just doing this. And then the same thing that I've done on this whole thing. So think about it. My detail pass is the same thing that I'm doing right now on the micro. So the same way that I am balancing values, balancing colors, introducing small extra lights, and tweaking these parameters, the exact same parameters. Now all of a sudden I need to do that exact same thing, but in micro to just this area. Then I do it to this area. Then I do it to this area. Then I do it to this area. And it's all those same principles, but now you're putting them to a finer point. And again, I would come in here and I would just grab this area and be like, okay, now I need to subdivide this. And I need to add the little front light to that, and I need to add the inside light to that, and I need to add the lichen to this. And so you're just doing the same thing on a smaller, more refined scale. Exact same principles, though. And that's one of the reasons I really wouldn't do it. That's why if you want to see me do like more detail-y stuff, get one of my time-lapse videos. It's just boring. It's boring. It's like one of the reasons, like, you know, people don't put out videos like that very much, because it's just hours and hours and hours of this little piddly changes that, yeah. Yeah, I mean, I do have videos out. If you want to go see that stuff and listen to me make some time-lapse comments as you're watching it, yeah, feel free. Please do. I mean, it helps fund this channel. But that's the best way if you want to go see them. That's where you can go see them. It's just like this, you know, looking at this and going, okay, well, that doesn't need to be black. There's too much light in this area right now, so I need to come back here and adjust that so that, okay, I forgot to account for the cast shadow. I just need to add the cast shadow back in here so those are even. Then let's help develop that form a little bit and do it that way. Then this form needs to be brought back a little bit. It's like a little too bleached out. So we can just change that up a little bit. Add some. Now the moss actually gets darker in the lit area because it's more matte than the stone is. but in the other areas, sometimes the moss gets lighter. And just come in here and start pulling out some little highlight areas. Add some little texture marks to it. Whoa, that's not what I meant. And it seems like logically there should be like some branches, some little straight roots and branches and rocks and other little shapes down here, so we don't want to forget about that. It looked a little too manicured, so we can come in here and add some of those things. And what I'm going to do is just like block in the darker shape, and then grab some of the colors like the tree, put on top of that, so it sort of syncs those two colors up. Same thing, you could have like some little stones, toss them around. Like little stones over here. Like that part, I showed that it broke off, so I need to show where the pieces are that broke off of that. Give those some little highlights. And then come in and add some shadows on that. Give it a little more form. Put some cast shadows on the other little rocks that we just added. The rocks on the ground right there. We can indicate some more of the ground rocks just peeking out. Some of this area. Swatches. I've heard that Marco Bushi says that he uses grays to help with color harmony. That is, to help disapparate colors talk to each other. Do you use any similar techniques? Yeah. Well, I mean, one of the first things that you saw me do was like mute everything down. And the closer it gets to gray, the more it's going to be similar all to each other. And from there, it's easier to harmonize it. So I have a much more consistent color and lighting scheme going on now than at the beginning, because I took it down closer to the same point. And also I'm using my color variance brush, so it's adding small variations of color playing off of each other, and that helps add visual interest to it. I want this tower to show up a bit more back here, so I can add some color back in that area. I can also have some of the shadows get darker back there. I don't want to go to black, but I do want to just pull that shape out a bit more. Change that up. Change this shape up back here a little bit. Give it something a bit more structured to it. Change that up, make that a little more interesting. Show some spots where that rock is sticking out, kind of making that sort of shape. Color conversation, yeah. That's a really excellent video of Mark's to go watch. I highly suggest everybody to go see it, where he talks about improving your color by using like the color conversation of multiple similar colors talking to each other, and it's good. Yeah. Okay, so we have the blue tones like over on that side, and I need to add some over to this guy on the cool light. So I'm going to do that. I can make another layer. Let's just say that we want to add a bit more atmosphere to this. I can make another layer and set it to lighten. Set that down about half opacity. Grab some of this lighter tone back here, and then paint the background area. I could also get another one and set it to darken and set its opacity down to about half. Mute out some of those lights. So a heavy atmosphere is going to do a couple of things. It's going to mute down the lights, and it's also going to mute the darks. There we go. Well, I think that as far as we want to take it here. It hit 9 p.m. and I still have another hour of drawing to do to send my other sketches. But I feel like this was, worth doing. We covered a lot, so we started here. And we took it here. So, same scene. I didn't really move or change that much. We just attended to the color scheme. We attended to the value scheme. Reworked the plants and the setting a little bit. Took some inspiration from, some reference images. So there you go. I will put pictures of these up on the Facebook group. I'll do a little before and after JPEG if you want to go take a look at that. Of course, this is being archived, so you can come back and watch this if you want to. But there we go. I'm pretty happy with it. Hopefully you picked up something from this. I do have some other paint over videos coming out with the next Patreon set. I have 3 paint over critique videos, about an hour and a half's worth. If you want to watch those, then you need to become a patron of the art class level. And of course, you get the other videos and some lessons coming out with those as well. But I hope everybody will join in the next art challenge. Join the Facebook group for full details on that and for, of course, streaming times in case anything gets changed there. But thank you so much for joining, and thank you for everybody for joining this last challenge. Where is OBS? There we go. Yeah, and congrats to Stefan. Awesome work, man. I love seeing your stuff, and hope you'll join in the next challenge with the burial mask. And until I see you next time, keep drawing.